So obviously, Joe, it's going to be very important who he surrounds himself with. He made a statement after the season, hey, I'm taking over the play calling again. It's in my hands. We're going to compete for championships. We've got to be better, and we will be better. Kind of set us up for what he's looking like going into 2019 in regards to the coaching staff.
It's funny with what you just talked about, because there's many Auburn fans and there's a lot of people that thought he was calling the plays all along with Chip Lindsey. I mean, you know, this drama behind everything that happens with Auburn. You know, if you're a fan of some teams, you just want it to be simple. Like you want to be a coach that is going to be leaving a university to go to another job to go and because he's getting something better. Like everybody wants to freak out about how Alabama's doing and their coaches and leaving. I mean, except for Brent Key, every single coach has pretty much left to go to a better job. Dan Enos, that's a totally different story. But with Auburn, Chip Lindsey left Auburn to become the offensive coordinator at Kansas. Like, think about that. I mean, it's a team that's won like 5 games in 10 years or something. Like, it's a horrible program. Yes, they have Les Miles, but he left Auburn, a program that's, like you said at the beginning of this, is a top 15 program, to go be an offensive coordinator in Lawrence, Kansas. Like, that doesn't make sense. He now obviously left that job to become the head coach at Troy. Which is, again, right down the street from where I am right now. And you have everything that's been happening. And with Chip Lindsey, you go back to the Clemson game. You know, the Auburn-Clemson matchup is one that has had so much connection to basically if you want to say a bubble of what you look at. When you look at Auburn football, like if it's in a snow globe, those games do it. You have the game that happened, a couple of years ago where Auburn started the season off against Clemson at Jordan-Hare, and you were having quarterback after quarterback after quarterback rotating in, and nobody understood why. Then you go into the next season, they're playing in Clemson, and you have 11 sacks, and you had Chip Lindsey on the field as the offensive coordinator. Auburn runs a play. It goes into a 4th and short, and they show a camera of Chip Lindsey 10, 15, 20 yards behind their line of scrimmage, and then you have Gus Malzahn right at the line of scrimmage with the playbook in his hands yelling some things. It was caught on film. ESPN people started talking about it. We started seeing the local beat writers start wanting to ask questions about it. And it was this, hey, are you calling the plays? And he's like, nope, Chip Lindsey's calling the plays. And then the question became, well, if Chip Lindsey's calling the plays, how is he going to call that play from 25 yards behind the line of scrimmage? And so this whole time, it's always been, is Gus Malzahn calling the plays? The best thing about going into 2019, we know he's calling the plays. It's been said. It's been established. Yes, he is calling the plays. You bring in a new offensive coordinator from Memphis, and you know about him, and you know that he's going to be the OC, but Malzahn's going to be calling the plays. I think that now with Malzahn, this is it. Like, he knows this is where I'm going to be the one calling the plays. Kenny's going to be the one that's going to be getting everybody ready when it comes to the offensive game plan. Him and I are going to put together a plan together. But let me bring in Cadillac Williams, which in Auburn lore, Cadillac Williams is one of the greatest running backs directly under Bo Jackson. It's Bo Jackson, Cadillac Williams. And with him, he has a call, Rod Bramlett, who had a radio call that still gives me chills just thinking about it, was the first play in an Iron Bowl, like back in 2003, where Carnell Williams breaks a big run on the very first play. He's about down at the 10 to 15 yard line, and Rod starts screaming, "Go crazy, Cadillac, go crazy." And that's now been, that plays throughout Auburn University and through Jordan-Hare Stadium during every single football game. Cadillac Williams is the most interesting hire for Auburn because of the fact that of where he was just at. He was at IMG Academy. He was at the Birmingham Iron just for a few weeks to get them ready for the football season that's about to start. But he was at a high school that breeds amazing running backs. I mean, Trey Sanders, who just signed with Alabama, he's on campus with them now. Cadillac, in his short time at IMG Academy for 1 or 2 years, he already has 3 running backs that are all at major Power 5 universities. And that's where he can now go into homes, and he knows how to talk to high school kids. I think that's part of the disconnect when it comes to recruiting that most people don't understand is your position coaches, they have to speak your players' language. You know, adults make fun of this. I'm a guy that has a video game stream, so I can't make fun of him at all. You want Cadillac to be able to go in and be like, cool, let's play Madden. Let's play Fortnite. Let's do all these things where we can hang out, and Cadillac becomes the cool guy. Plus, he has a nickname called Cadillac, which literally every single recruit will find amazing. Carnell coming in to be the new running back coach, Tim Horton going to an off the field position is what I really think is extremely interesting because of I think Cadillac is going to be a really good recruiter. I really do think that he's going to be a guy that coming into, I don't know so much about the 2019 recruiting class, but more about the 2020 recruiting class. I think he's going to get a lot of good players that are going to start being interested in Auburn.
Now, come on, Joe. To have the nickname Cadillac, does it get any better than that? That's phenomenal. Although I'm thinking at the same time with the name Joe Hunk, you've got to come up with some decent nicknames as well. I'm sure there's been a few thrown your way.
Yeah, and the Hunk name is weird, man, because it's actually part of my last name. In radio, we have, you always get radio names. And it was funny how Joe Hunk came in because my real last name is Hunkapiller. I mean, it's a part of the name. It's not anything that I just said, you know what? I'm in radio. I'm going to be Joe Hunk. No, it came about because my last name is Hunkapiller. And oddly enough, I used to do radio in Huntsville, Alabama. And I had a cousin that, let's just say she didn't make the best decisions in life. And so like day 2 that I'm on the job, we have the television up for our news. It was I believe it's WHNT 19 up in Huntsville. And they throw a big, huge graphic up that says, so-and-so Hunkapiller wanted for bad check writing. And I'm just in the studio like, oh my God, I know this lady. I know her. She's my second cousin. And my program director walks in and goes, you are no longer Joseph Hunkapiller. You are now Joe Hunk. I said, okay, that's what we're going to be from now on. So Joe Hunk is stuck. And that is what I have been for the last 13 years in radio.
Brilliant. And for me, it's not quite of a not nearly as good a story as that. It was just about 6 months ago that somebody was addressing me on one of the YouTube comments and said, since you are the voice of college football, and then ... and went on from there. And I said, that's it. There
you go.
He didn't even say you're the voice. He just was just kind of matter of fact, since you are the, and I went, hey, this guy nailed it. I'm running with that.
Well, most people don't understand that, a lot of times a nickname, comes in, like, isn't something that we create. I mean, there's a lot of things I really wish that I could have created, but stuff that comes about when it just comes back about organically. Like on our radio show during our 5 o'clock hour, I mean, if you know anything about AM radio, you have a signal and it's big and huge, but then when the sun goes down, it kind of shrinks. So what we now call our 5 o'clock hour, we call it Appy Hour. And it was something that a listener said, and so what we do is we promote our Sports Radio 740 app through this way. It's like, look, we know that some of you can listen to us, on 740 AM, but you've got to download that app. And so the best way to hear us during that 5 o'clock hour is through the app. So boom, it's Appy Hour. This is always going to be Appy Hour. Welcome back into the Fallout Sports Radio 740. Welcome into Appy Hour. And it's just grown organically. And that's kind of the way some of this stuff happens is people think, oh man, we had this brainstorm and it was great. Literally, it was a luck of a tweet being sent to us. This is now Appy Hour. That's it. That's what we're going to go with.